Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. We are seeing the space race of the 21st century take place not between companies, but between privately owned companies. Well, this past Sunday, Virgin Orbit, the rocket company founded by Sir Richard Branson, successfully put its first satellites into space using its novel air launch system. And joining us now is Dan Hart, CEO of Virgin Orbit. So it's not public companies, not publicly traded companies right now necessarily that are only the ones that are trying to play in this space or at least explore it more, but we know private companies are actually taking off with regard to this. Congratulations on the rocket launch to you and the team. You said after the launch, a new gateway to space has just sprung open. So could you explain to our viewers why Sunday's accomplishment was so significant?
You know, on Sunday, as you just said, we brought a new technology to space launch. It was the first time a large liquid rocket ever took off from an airport and flew out and flew to space. And what that opens up is a whole set of efficiencies and new capabilities of being able to fly out from an airport and get a payload to space.
Certainly. And so what are the next steps in future launches and how you are going to approach those to really take away the key research findings, the data that would make this safer for passengers in the future?
Well, so our focus will stay on satellites. You know, Richard has two space companies. Virgin Galactic flies people to space. We fly satellites and spacecraft into space. There's a huge transformation that has taken place with capabilities from space and how technology has changed satellites. Satellites that used to be the size of a school bus are now the size of a microwave or a washing machine.
Wow.
And so we have a small rocket, and the idea is to be able to have responsiveness, the efficiency of starting a rocket at 35,000 feet when you're traveling a good part of the way to Mach 1 already before the rocket has to do any work. And so the economics change, the flexibility change, we have mobility. There are almost 80 space agencies across the world. Very few of them have space launch. We can fly out of an airport and give them a sovereign space launch capability. And then there's the national security world, where there's contention, in space right now. And the capabilities of mobility to be able to pop up from anywhere in the world and put a spacecraft into orbit is very interesting to the national security sector, for the US and our allies as well. So it is a game changer in each of those market areas.
It's truly amazing to watch some of the video that was just going picture in picture as you were speaking there. And with all of these missions and launching satellites, where does the revenue start to pour in from, and who specifically do you contract with in order to see that revenue extended over a certain lifespan, a lifetime value, if you will, with all of the companies that you intend on working with on the satellite front?
So first and foremost, this first launch was with NASA. And so we were just delighted to put up 10 research and experimental spacecraft for them. And so that was our first revenue-bearing launch, and it was a brilliant success. We will launch with NASA more. NASA is moving to small satellites for a lot of their Earth science, their heliophysics, and even some of their interplanetary work. The commercial sector, you know, it used to take hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of capitalization to build a satellite factory that could make satellites. Now with satellites as simple as they are, as small as they are, satellite producers are popping up all over the world with new and novel business cases for Earth observation, radar from space, the Internet of Things, broadband, obviously. And so there's a lot of business in the commercial sector as well.
Okay.
And then there's national security.
Right.
We will become a core part of the national security infrastructure. The Secretary of the Air Force's office tweeted after we launched and said, "This is a disruptor. This will help deter aggression in space."
And so as this was your first revenue generating launch, what is the rate, the going rate for the amount that countries are willing to pay to work with Virgin Orbit on launches like this?
You know, it varies depending upon the complexity of the mission. Typically, it's 12 to $15 million for a full payload.
Understood. Okay, and so we're going to be watching that very closely going forward. The Biden administration that has just taken office this week, how does that impact, alter, or even help out some of the initiatives that you're seeing over at Virgin Orbit?
You know, space is now a core of our infrastructure, and every single president has pushed space forward in one way or another. And we look forward to seeing the Biden administration do the same thing. I mean, it's core in our economy. We remember the days of Kennedy. We remember through the Reagan and Bush administration, the shuttle program and how it grew. Clinton opened up GPS for the commercial world, on and on and on. So, in each sector, I think we'll continue to see growth, and it'll be a great future over the next few years.
How do you evaluate some of your competitors when you see headlines around SpaceX and things that they're doing in orbit, whether that be Starlink and trying to bring connectivity back to Earth and to the ground level as well? Where are some of those initiatives from your competitors even driving further conversations over at Virgin Orbit internally as to what you can do further to not only generate revenue, but continue to push the envelope as to what we can do in space and commercializing it forward responsibly?
It's really exciting to see the innovation that's happening across the industry. I mean, we're in a renaissance of space right now. And so certainly, we've just put together the engineering and manufacturing to make a rocket, and we'll be ramping up our launches. We have a full factory that can just turn those out. But there's all sorts of other possibilities of how we use launch, how we use spacecraft, how we put it all together and bring new capabilities. Virgin Orbit will be in the middle of all of that.
Understood. Okay, and so just going forward from here, what does a successful roadmap look like for you at Virgin Orbit, especially as we move through what has been a tricky environment in 2020 for even some of these launches to fully take place, making sure that people could operate in the same space, either building out some of the missions and then additionally making sure that they go off without a hitch? How does that roadmap get tailored, if you will, to the environment that we find ourselves in? And what would you say are some of the key performance indicators that would call 2021 a success for Virgin Orbit?
Well, first of all, 2020, as with everyone else, 2020 was a brutal, difficult year. I am so proud of this team and how they buckled down and drove to initial launches on a new system with a completely different way to operate and to work. So, I'm hats off to everybody who participated, and I'm so happy to see them grinning in their tired after launch faces. I mean, we have a manufacturing capability that is state of the art, automated, with 3D printers and additive manufacturing and state of the art composite. We're all set up to turn out rockets. And so 2021 will be continuing the rockets that are in production, and there are a handful that are in the factory right now. And then continuing to ramp those up, getting a launch cadence going. And then, boy, we can't wait to have vaccines and get out of the pandemic operating mode, and continue to ramp through 21 and into 22, kind of doubling our rate as we go forward.
Dan Hart, CEO at Virgin Orbit, joining us today. Congratulations on the success that you and the team have seen most recently, and continued success to you along the way this year as well.